All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome. So, some of you had, for homework number 4, part 1, we did this part, right? We did the question, we wrote down the steps, but some of you had some questions on the other one, so I thought I would just go with you on this. Mr. G busted out the exclusive Black Ops pens for this video, so let's get to this. So here, for this question, we have 6n squared minus 4n minus 16 divided by n minus 2, okay? And I think for this video, what would really help is subtitles, right? Because the questions I ask are going to be in the same rhythm here. So let's see. First question over here, what I want you to do is pause the video, and what will be the first question you're going to say that will determine what we do first, okay? So pause the video and try and write it out before I do. Does this n go into 6n squared, right? Into this 6n squared. And then what's the algebra behind it? Always the algebra is 6n squared divided by n. And then this becomes 6n. And if you're trying to remember the reason why, 6, here there's a 1, right? 6 divided by 1 is 6. But what is n squared divided by n? Remember, this n is also n to the 1. So this is 6 to the, this is n to the 2 minus 1, which is equal to n to the 1, which is equal to n. Okay? If you feel like a little lost on this reason why, make sure you let me know. So what do? I take this 6n, and what do? I just put it right here. And then what's my step 2? I'm going to pause the video, and I want you to write 3. 1, 2, 3. You're doing 6n times n, which is 6n squared. Then what do? You're doing 6n times, not 2, but negative 2, which is negative 12n. I'm going to put it here. Right? Now what I want you to do is pause the video. Again, tell me what will step 3 be. Write it down. Subtract, right? Now let's see. Here you have 6n squared minus 6n squared. So 6n squared minus 6n squared, that is 0, right? So this just cancels. Now here, this is where you guys still freeze a little bit. Now watch, we're going to do it nice and slow. You see here, this is negative 4n minus a negative 12n. And it's the same thing when we had, like if I say what's negative 5 minus a negative 8, you remember a long time ago when we were doing this here, this is just negative 5, negative times negative is positive, so negative 5 plus 8, take your time, what will this be? Right? It's 3. Here, you have to get good with, it's the same idea with addition and subtraction. Here, we just have a variable. So here, it's negative 4n plus 12n, and that's equal to 8n. So we're going to put that 8n here. And then what do? Step 4, bring everything down. Right. So you're going to bring this down, negative 16. And then what do again? Rinse, repeat. What are you going to ask yourself next? How many times, right? How many times does n go into, not 6n squared, but now it's going to be 8n, right? And how many times does it do it? It's 8n divided by n, which is 8. So this goes here, it's positive 8. Positive 8 times n is 8n. Positive 8 times negative 2 is negative 6. Right, that was the boomerang. Parentheses, subtract. 8n minus 8n is 0. Negative 16 minus a negative 16. Negative 16 minus a negative 16 becomes negative 16. Negative 16 plus 16, which is 0. So then we're done. N minus 2 evenly goes into 6n squared minus 4n minus 16. 6n plus 8 times. Okay? So that was just one of the questions. Try and do another question by yourself. This first page was pretty straightforward. Let's look at, what's a good question? Okay, let's do this one, for example, 17. Okay, this seems like a good one. Actually, no. Let's do 10. Alright, let's just skip around. So here, let's look at 10. If I have a cubed plus 13a squared plus 39 minus 18 divided by a plus 6. How many times does a go into a cubed? That's a cubed divided by a is a squared. Now Mr. G is going to speed it up a little bit. So a squared times a is a cubed. A squared times 6 is 6a squared. Parentheses, parentheses, subtract. A cubed minus a cubed is 0. 13a squared minus a positive 6a squared, right? Becomes 13a squared minus 6a squared, which is 7a squared. Then we bring everything down. Plus 39 minus 18, right? Now what do we do? Oh, 39a, sorry. That should be a 39a then. So then how many times does a go into 7a squared? You do 7a squared divided by a, and that's 7a. So 7a goes up here, 7a times a is 7a squared, 7a times 6 is 42a, right? Parentheses, parentheses, subtract. 39 minus 42 is negative 3a, minus 18. How many times does a go into negative 3a? Negative 3a divided by a is negative 3. So negative 3 goes up here, you boomerang again, negative 3a, negative 18, parentheses, parentheses, subtract, and you get 0. And then you're done. And this is my final answer. Let's do one more, and let's see. How about okay, but I don't do this question and don't do this question, not yet. These two. Let's try and do this one here. Okay, so 4n cubed minus 33n squared plus n plus 56 divided by n minus 8. So here, this goes in 4n squared times, so this is 4n cubed, right? How many times does n go into 4n cubed? So it's 4n cubed divided by n, which is 4n squared. So 4n squared times n is 4n cubed, 4n squared times negative 8 is negative 32n squared. Parentheses, parentheses, subtract. So this is negative times negative is positive, so this just becomes negative n squared plus n plus 56. How many times does n go into negative n squared? So negative n squared divided by n is negative n. So negative n goes up here, and if I'm going very fast, pause the video and just say, try and figure out what I'm doing, or talk to me during class, okay? Negative n times n is negative n squared. Negative n times negative 8 is positive 8n. Parentheses, parentheses, subtract. So here, this becomes 0. N minus 8 will be negative 7n plus 56. So now how many times does n go into negative 7n? Negative 7n divided by n is negative 7. Right? So then you put a negative 7 up here. Negative 7 times n is negative 7n. Negative 7 times negative 8 is positive 56. Parentheses, parentheses, subtract, and you get 0. And this is it. Okay? Remember to check, if you wanted to check your work, do n minus 8 times 4n squared minus n minus 7, right? If you multiply this, you have to get the original. So let's just see if you do. What is n times 4n squared? 4n cubed. N times minus n is negative n squared. N times minus 7 is minus 7n. Then again here, negative 8 times 4n squared is negative 32n squared. Negative 8 times negative n is positive 8n. And negative 8 times negative 7 is positive 56. So what do we do here? We got to combine the like terms, right? So this one goes first. So this one is just 4n cubed. Then what? Then the negative n squared and the negative 32n squared, when you add them up, this and this, it becomes negative 33n squared. Right? And what about this one here? Negative 7n, positive 8n becomes just n plus 56. And notice that this is the same as the original up here. Right? This is the same as this, and that's what we want. That means it's a check. Okay? Try and do that for every single problem you do. I hope this video helped. Try and do all of these by yourself, except this one and this one. Okay.